Hey, Dr. Matt here. So I recently heard a doctor online suggesting that the reason to get a particular medical intervention was because there was a study done by the American Journal or the American Medical Association of their members. And this survey basically showed that of 3,000 doctors, 96% of them had got this particular medical intervention. And that was a great reason to get the medical intervention, because if doctors are getting it, then we should all be getting it, because doctors do what's best for them, right? Doctors have this high level of knowledge and understanding. And anyways, he was basically, the thrust of the argument was just that you should get this medical intervention, you should get this medical therapy because all these physicians got it, 96% of them, and they know how to read the literature. They know how to understand complex journal articles, complex studies. They know what a real study is. What really makes sense. Whereas you, the layperson, you're not capable. You know that you're just not capable of understanding this literature and understanding what's being put out here in the science and medical community. Of course, I know that's not true. You know that's not true. We know that's not true. In fact, maybe quite the opposite is true. And I would also like to mention that when this study, I went and looked back to see, okay, what exactly, this is shocking to me, that 96% of would actually have got this intervention. And when you look in deeper, of those 3,000 people studied, only 301 actually got the intervention in the first place, and or said they got the intervention. And guess what? There's over 1 million active physicians in the United States. So only 301 people were surveyed, were actually filled out the survey, and they're saying that 96% of these physicians do this medical intervention. So that's 0.03% of active physicians were actually surveyed to come out with this blanket statement. That seems really flawed to me. I think you would agree, and I'm pretty sure anybody else that looks at peer-reviewed journal articles would also agree. It's probably flawed. That's probably not truly what's going on here. So, using social pressure to promote a medical intervention, a medical therapy, a drug, whatever, before health accumulation, now that's just not sound science. That's not sound medicine. Unless you're in an acute state, which we're not. When we're looking at YouTube, I don't think anybody's in an acute state. We're all talking about chronic conditions and maximizing our health potential. So that's not best practices. But what makes this really poor, what really made me think about this study, or this idea of doing what the doctor says because the doctor's doing it, is that, one, there's the whole thing, okay, this group's superior to another group, and those that don't follow that group, somehow they're less intelligent, less capable, have less knowledge, less capacity for understanding. They just don't understand science. How could they ever figure this stuff out like we know it? But it also, I think the biggest thing is, it suggests that doctors do what is best for them, and that they always follow what is the science, what truly science says, what is hard science. And this is probably not going to shock most of you that are watching this, but according to a study in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, 79% of physicians do not follow the science, because 79% of physicians do not get in moderate exercise for 30 minutes 5 times a week. That's not something. 79% do not. That's what they say. That's what they said. And that is considered the bare minimum physical activity necessary to promote health and longevity, according to our governmental agencies. So if 79% of them are not following that, I wonder what else they're not following that maybe potentially could decrease our desire to just fall in line with the next doctor. So if we continue with that logic, that this do as I do because I'm a doctor and I know best, then I guess a sedentary lifestyle would be the lifestyle of choice, would be the lifestyle of longevity, of vigor, of vitality, of robust hormone and muscle strength. I don't know about that, but there's this other study, and I was looking for what's the deal with weight in physicians and obesity and that kind of stuff. The best one I could find was in 2007, and it showed that 40% of physicians were overweight, and 23% were obese. So that was 2007. obesity, overweight are just skyrocketing in the last 10 years. So that's probably maybe up a third or up double. 23% are obese. Man, do as I do? I don't know. I don't know if we should be doing as they do. You know, if your doctor is obese, overweight, out of shape, I mean, does that give you confidence that their nutritional strategy is going to work for you if it's not working for them? Now, there's a study of Harvard physicians who showed that 42% of physicians at Harvard here ate fast food 4 times per week. And there's 13 states that hospitals or 13 hospitals where fast food chains are contracted with them, and there's fast food restaurants in them. I mean, isn't that crazy? A fast food restaurant inside a hospital, and I'm sure now there's way more than this. So the study was a little bit old, and there's, of course, we already know what's cafeteria food and that kind of stuff at a hospital. What is this showing patients? What is this teaching patients? It's showing them that, hey, you know what? Real food, wholesome food, disciplined eating, say no to the cravings of our flesh. Don't even do it. Who cares? It doesn't matter. When science shows it matters a ton. It matters a ton what you put in your body. It matters a ton what you eat. So when you're trying to convince someone to do a therapy that we think is best, in the best interest, it's imperative. It's so important that we are following the science. We're following the research ourselves, across the board. So you can't, if I'm pounding alcohol, I'm like, hey, don't drink alcohol. Hey, sir, you know what? I'm seeing this. Your liver enzymes are elevated. You better stop drinking alcohol. And I'm like, going drinking alcohol every night. I mean, what am I teaching my patient? That's not helpful. That's called hypocrisy. So if we're going to promote the science, then we got to follow the science ourselves. Otherwise, we're promoting a falsity. We are promoting we are living out pseudoscience, because we don't trust. We're literally saying we do not trust what that journal article. We do not trust what that governmental guideline says. So, being living proof of health promotion, rather than just pushing one's own agenda, pushing one's own bias, it's invaluable if we're going to create and maintain trust of the patients that we're in contact with. I think this is literally the most threatening thing to medicine right now, and to even, I would say, public health, is the lack of following what we're suggesting other people should do. We're saying one thing, and we're doing something differently. And so if we want to efficiently help people live their best life, make decisions that is in their best interest on an individual basis, then we got to be looking out for those individuals. And, considering, maybe instead of looking at this population thing and saying, oh, just the whole population needs this, the whole population needs that. No, because the whole population on a whole is obese, but there's people within the population that are not obese. The population as a whole is metabolically completely unhealthy. But there's individuals in the population who are healthy. So it is imperative that we as health professionals, we become proactive, we look at ourselves, we put ourselves in that same risk stratification we put our patients on, and that's going to help us move forward. That's going to help us make decisions that's in the best interest of our health. And then when we want to recommend medical therapies, no matter what they are, guess what? People are going to be pumped to fall in line, because you know what? They know we're taking care of ourselves. We're not pushing our own health off on someone else or off on some system or some pharmaceutical. No, we're taking personal responsibility for ourselves. And if we keep taking personal responsibility for our health, you take personal responsibility for your health, you're going to enjoy the good fruit that comes from that. I'm going to enjoy the good fruit that comes from taking personal responsibility from health. So if you hear somebody yelling at you to do something, and you don't see their life thriving in that thing they're yelling at you to do, my suggestion and my personal way of going about life is to just say thank you and move on and find somebody else who is prospering in the thing that I want to prosper in. And I think any wise person would give you the exact same advice. So I'm Dr. Matt, And I apologize for physicians all over the place who are not taking care of themselves. They're going to do a better job. I'm going to do a better job. We're all going to do a better job of following the science and, getting good sleep, eating real food, getting rid of the physical activity, being kind to one another, and we're going to blossom in health. All right, keep accumulating health. That is the way. I'm Dr. Matt. I hope you guys can share this, like this, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.